Alright, well the Eagles continue to hone in on offensive line prospects. Yet some are doubting Howie's prowess in the first round, although now a trade up for an edge is on the table. Plus, Gardner Johnson is putting in extra work and is no doubtedly going to make a massive impact in Philly. But he's got a message for the rest of the league, so let's talk about it. But first, let's run it. How we doing, everybody? Let's take a moment to wish a happy birthday to Reggie the dog, with the Eagles team dog celebrating his second birthday. And according to Slay, Reggie's the GOAT and owns the building, while also helping the team to remain chill.
Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Obviously, last season we could have used a bit more of that chillness in the midst of a monumental collapse. Or more accurately, it's probably just the lack of dog mentality, but we've got that now with Gardner Johnson back. And more on him in a sec. Oh yeah, I should also get in a happy birthday to Mr. Happy Juice Energy himself, BG, with Brandon Graham turning 36 and set to have his official farewell tour this season with the Eagles. I know it's a given saying this, but hopefully we can send him out the right way with one more Super Bowl to culminate an amazing career. Come on, we can certainly do better than we did for Kelsey and Fletch. At least the new acquisition should help. And shout out to Saquon Barkley, who's been getting in a lot of work lately, posting to social media of various workouts, and it's no doubt going to hit different when we see this dude in the Kelly Green. Speaking of which, for those that won the Kelly Green jersey giveaways, just hold tight because they're going to be coming. It just hasn't gotten the men's sizes out yet, but as soon as they do, I will ship them your way. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet and are wanting to get in on the next giveaway, hit that sub button. I promise you won't regret it. Okay, anyway, Saquon was recently hitting the links with Sterling Shepard, and not gonna lie, there might not be a better pastime than golf. However, my golf game might be like Howie Roseman drafting in the first round, or at least if you believe what PFF says, with Sam Monson listing out the top 5 best and worst franchises in drafting their first selection over the last 10 years, as the Eagles landed in the bottom 5 of the rankings. And okay, yeah, Howie's missed on a few selections, who hasn't? Plus, I'd say he's at least done better in the past few drafts, although Monson says even though it's tough to put the Eagles on this list, the specific errors of selecting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, and also Carson Wentz, who ultimately failed to work as Philly's future quarterback, along with Derek Barnett and Andre Dillard being surpassed by other players on the roster, is what led to this dubious award. I don't know about putting Wentz in that category. I mean, sure, he didn't work out ultimately in the long term, but we don't win a Super Bowl without him. I mean, the dude had an MVP season going in 2017 with 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions before getting injured versus the Rams. At the same time, yes, we don't win a Super Bowl without Nick Foles, because backup quarterbacks can be important. Yet, it's strange to see Wentz now end up with the Chiefs to back up Patrick Mahomes while getting to learn from Andy Reid. Please tell me I'm not the only one thinking that way. I mean, naturally, the thought is that he won't play unless something catastrophic happens to Mahomes, but I can't deny wondering if Big Red can get a little bit more out of Carson if, let's say for some odd chance he has to come in and actually win a playoff game. You're right, it's probably all in the head and mental. What do y'all think though? Has Howie really been that bad on moves? Either way, like I was saying before, Wentz was a solid move. Again, it ended up in a Super Bowl. And let's not forget the Birds GM was able to get out of it by trading the Colts and then subsequently fleecing the Saints to basically net them in a roundabout way the ammo for Jalen Carter, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown, as well as a 2024 second-round pick, which hopefully ends up being Edgerrin Cooper. Look, time will tell whether or not this Haason Reddick trade ends up being good or bad. But heck, if you want to feel a little better about the trade package Philly got for Haas, look no further than what the Buffalo Bills got back for Stephon Diggs, after trading him to the Houston Texans for a 2025 second-round pick, while also having to give up their 2024 6th and 2025 5th-round pick.
That doesn't make sense.
Okay, it actually does, considering that Diggs is a 30-year-old receiver with some locker room drama concerns, so why don't you go ahead and get what you can for him? Although, in that same light, I'm not sure I totally buy the idea of Haas was the guy creating problems for the Birds, despite Jeff McClain sharing there were concerns in the locker room with number 7 chasing sacks, while saying he heard from a couple people inside the organization that Reddick was looking to get his. Look, fine, it was evident that the entire defense was in disarray, especially in the back half. And sure, you could argue that Haason, knowing he would be trying to get a contract extension after the season, had some extra motivation to keep the sack totals up. But I'm sorry, first off, that's ridiculous because he was the only player or one of the only players being productive, as well as we had multiple players sticking up for him and his work ethic. Yes, I realize it and I totally get it. The Eagles did struggle against the run last season and the edges certainly could have helped in that area a lot better. But I think it's overboard to put it on your all-pro. Y'all tell me what you think. Personally, it feels like like this is more of a trying to save face or act like this is a much better trade than it is. Again, I'm going to try to be as optimistic as possible, and time will tell how this one plays out. Yet it is interesting to see after the Reddick departure, multiple outlets have floated the idea of the Eagles selecting an edge, quite possibly even trading up in the first round to draft one, as Ben Nathan offered Alabama's Dallas Turner as a possibility, saying Turner could be in their sights after a productive final year at Bama and testing very well in Indianapolis at the Combine. Of course, he's still raw and on the smaller-ish, I guess, kind of side at 6'4", 240 pounds, but you can picture him being a great edge defender for a team with a big physical interior line like Philadelphia. Yeah, it's a fun idea, but it's not a realistic one, because this class doesn't have a lot of premier talent at that position, but you can pick up some guys later in day 2 or even day 3 with upside. Plus, Turner, while he's got a pretty impressive 20% pressure rate, he ranked below average in his run stop ability, with scouts saying that's an area he'll need to continue to improve along with his tackling. And also, if you really wanted Turner, you'd probably have to trade up to get him, which is why if we're putting our Howie Roseman cap on, it's most likely going to come down to offensive linemen in the first round, with the continual linkages to Oklahoma's Tyler Guyton, Washington's Troy Fatanu, and even Alabama's J.C. Latham, to name a few. However, maybe we shouldn't totally rule out defense at number 22, since a potential O-line pick in the second round is in Philly's sights, with Jordan Reed reporting lots of eyes are on Yale's pro day due to offensive tackle Kieran Amagaji putting in some work, with a 6'5", 325-pound tackle gaining momentum in the eyes of several different scouts. Remember, I talked about him before since the Birds were also scouting him back in March when he attended UConn's pro day, and this dude could be a solid option as a potential guard and also Lane's replacement at right tackle. Now, technically, he projects as a tackle, but he did start one season at Yale as a guard, which could be why he's heralded more so for his run blocking ability than his pass blocking, yet is described as never being afraid to dish out the punishment and also very strong intelligence for the game, even if he is a little bit raw, which sounds like a piece of cake for Jeff Stoutland to refine.
He's good. With my help, he could be the best.
Speaking of really good, the Eagles have shown interest in Cooper DeJean as well as a top 30 visit, with the Iowa 6'1", 207-pound defensive back sending out a letter to NFL teams saying his broken fibula in November is cleared now and he can return to all football activities, and that DeJean will be holding an individual workout on April 8th to perform all on-field testing drills as well as positional work without any restrictions. I mean, DeJean's a stud. I think everyone knows that, but the 21-year-old is kind of more of a wild card, because do you look at him as more of a safety or a cornerback, or it might be best to just describe him as an athlete, since he's polished in coverage but could very well be the best run-stopping corner in the class. Now, while I'd still prefer Quinyon Mitchell over DeJean, Cooper does scream a player that's tailor-made for Vic Fangio's scheme, and I'm sure Vic already has some creative ideas for how to use him. Plus, those top 30 visits are basically a 99% lock on who the Eagles will draft, and seeing that DeJean's the only noteworthy corner they brought in so far, it feels like he might be in play if they don't go O-line. I don't know what it is. There's something about him that reminds me of Reed Blankenship. Anyway, now that I've brought up Reed, it does feel like your secondary is going to be anchored by the Ghost and CJ after the Birds inked Reed to a 1-year extension, and then Milkcheck shared that he actually had to have surgery for what he called a pretty freak ordeal.
Unfortunately, I had to have surgery. It was one of those, personal decisions whether or not to do it, and I felt like that was the best decision possible. Right now, I feel great. I'm like pretty much 100% back to normal, and it feels good now, not being as sore anymore as like I did this past season dealing with it. But I'm ready to go. I'm really excited to show what I can do. It honestly just happened towards the end of the season. It was one of those freak ordeals. You extend a little bit to the wrong direction and something tears a little bit, and ended up having to get it repaired and all that, which I think I needed because it said that it was, a little chronic, had some stuff going on, but, it's not even about how long I played on it. It's just, getting fixed up for the next year.
Even though the whole idea of Justin Simmons is fairly unlikely at this point, optimistically, I think we'll be fine, assuming our safeties can stay healthy and we get another smaller depth signing. Yes, I would still prefer to bring in Simmons, because not only have we seen Reed get injured multiple times, but the blessing and the curse of CJ Gardner Johnson is his physicality. Don't get me wrong, I want that, and I think everyone wants a dude who isn't afraid to lay the wood. Yet like we've all seen, it comes with the territory, with CJ missing 17 regular season games the last 2 years. Of course, missing all that time has led led to a few rankings of safeties, while national pundits have left number 8 off their lists, which then has culminated leading to a response and a warning from the 26-year-old, reminding that when you're talking about top safeties, to be sure and mention him, saying there's too much disrespect out there and the NFL is a productivity league, so if that's the case, look deeply into the statistics. Now, in an effort to remain balanced and unbiased, I should mention that multiple people brought up the fact that CJ was the lowest graded defender in the NFC Championship game for the Lions. However, over a larger sample size, the dude is near the very top in forced incompletions and interceptions in the league based on a per game basis. So honestly, I love the chip on his shoulder, which is why he's taking no days off this offseason, getting in some work to improve explosiveness and increase his strength, endurance, balance, and coordination. Because like he said, he's ready and you're going to see that this season. Seriously, if CJ can stay on the field, this defense is going to be drastically different, especially in the turnover category. But I'm interested to hear y'all's takes. For one, do you think he can stay healthy? And also, how many interceptions do you think Gardner Johnson gets? For real, go ahead and drop your predictions in the comments for how many games he ends up playing, as well as how many interceptions CJ ends up with during the regular season. Again, both games played and how many interceptions in the regular season. And if you get it right, I will buy you a playoff ticket. Reminder that I'll do a drawing if there are multiple winners to decide who gets the ticket. You think I'm kidding, but seriously, go ahead and bookmark this video or save it and then come back and revisit and see what happens. Also, kind of a no-brainer, but you got to be subscribed to win this one. So good luck to you guys. This has been the Philly Special.